If you're used to winging it before interviews, I want to chat with you a little bit about how practicing before an interview can give you even better results. So, I work in the recruitment space and deal with hiring managers every day, all day long. And honestly, one of the common things I hear from hiring managers is how they think that they found the great candidate, but they just didn't interview well and they're disappointed. So the hiring manager can't understand how the candidate looked so good on paper and arrived for the interview, just lost it. And you know what? This happens. I've had it happen to myself as well. One of the things I recommend is to take some time to practice before your interview. Not only does it help calm your nerves, but it gives your mind a bit of focus so that when you get into that room and your adrenaline is high and you're facing that sea of interview panel members, you've got some guidance and you can go back to, yeah, I've done this before. I can remember. It's muscle memory. And so it makes sense that we don't all succeed and are perfect in interviews. We don't get the chance to practice. I mean, how many interviews do we go on? It's not as if we're interviewing every day, every week, our whole careers. Maybe during a season of job hunting, we're interviewing and then we don't do it for a long time after that. And so that skill set is not really something that we're keeping up. And it's perfectly understandable why we struggle, right, when it comes to interviews. And so, what I find is helpful is when candidates come in, and I've used this myself, is I've practiced beforehand. And so, what that can look like is getting yourself into that headspace and going through practicing questions and really thinking thoughtfully about what you want to share in your interview. One of the first things I would suggest is you read that job description thoroughly. So you most likely have the job posting, or they may have sent the job description with you when they've invited you for the interview. You're going to go through that, review the skill set that they're looking for, and match it onto what your skills, work experience, and abilities are to date. And so, what skills, what experience, what abilities do you have that fit that job description? And then you're going to build out your stories because that's what they want to hear. You want to be able to communicate in an interview clearly. That doesn't mean you have to be a robot. You just want to be able to communicate like a human. And sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes we say the wrong word. That's being a human. So you don't have to be polished and perfect and on a script. That's not what we want here. We just want you to be able to communicate effectively and also to be able to connect the dots for the hiring manager. How are you going to fit into this role, and what experiences can you bring into the role that will be what they're looking for? So you've gone through the job description, you've matched onto or pulled out some of those pieces that match onto your previous work experience, skills, and abilities. Great. So then what you want to do is jot down, or what I do is jot down in bullet points those pieces that I want to make sure I talk about in the interview. And I don't mean, again, you're not writing out a script, you're writing out bullet points. And so I did something like that for this video. I put down my bullet points here that I want to make sure that I get to. Didn't write it out in a script. I'm trying to be as natural as possible. Maybe I'm not, you can let me know. But this is all part of the learning and part of practicing, is being able to communicate, kind of winging it, but within boundaries, within what I want to make sure I get across. So put those bullet points down on a piece of paper, on your phone. You can bring those to the interview. You can use them if you're in a Zoom call. Absolutely no problem with that from a recruitment standpoint. I usually share, or we hear candidates say, I just have some notes here. If you're okay if I refer to them, that's completely fine. You want to make sure that you're capturing what you want to say in those highlights that you want to share with the panel. And I'll have another video that will dive a little bit deeper into how you can frame out those stories and use them in any scenario or various scenarios in an interview. So once you've got those key points or key stories you've thought them through and you've written down what you want to say in bullet point form, then you want to practice. You want to practice. So either grab a partner if you've got a friend or a family member or your dog or someone that you can look at and practice and what you want to say. That helps because it's not enough to think it in your head and jot it down. You really need to bring from what's up here out into the world. Honestly, try it. It really feels different. You want to find someone to practice with. If you don't have anyone, or if you're more of an introvert, kind of like I am, then absolutely do voice notes on your phone, listen back, think about ways that you want to improve, and continue on. Or if you're feeling super brave or ambitious, set up the camera, talk to the camera, get used to seeing yourself and the movements. And I sometimes I see people doing this on Zoom, or talking with their hands, or those are all things you can see in a video. But what you really want to practice is getting the communication piece down. Can you succinctly communicate to whoever is on the hiring panel? I don't think you need to spend days upon days practicing. You can practice for an hour if you have an hour, or 30 minutes, 15 minutes. Any practice is better than none. And you'll see when you play it back or you hear yourself, you're going to improve over time. Interviewing isn't something that we do every day. And so we've got to sharpen that skill when we need. There's lots more we can talk about on how to prepare for interviews, have that interview confidence, and what you can do before the interview, during, after. There's lots of things we can talk about. And so I hope that you do come back and enjoy some future videos and share, of course, any videos that you would like to see. Happy to create content around that as well. So hope to see you next time, and good luck in your practicing.